Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are going to start with the first session of the day, that is on urban development and new horizons of social inclusion. For this, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Sanjay Malhotra, Secretary IT Government of Rajasthan, as the session chair. Mr. Malhotra, please. As speakers, we have with us Mr. Bipul Pathak, Secretary IT Government of Jammu and Kashmir. I request Mr. Bipul Pathak to please come on stage, on the dais.
Hello.
We also have with us Mr. A.S. Bhal, Economic Advisor, Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India. A huge round of applause for all the three delegates on the dais. And as we are running late, so I request all the speakers of the day to please keep their briefings, as small as possible and as brief as possible. Thank you, sir. And now I hand over this session to the session chair, Mr. Sanjay Malhotra.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is comfortable. We are starting a little late. And so I'll request the main speakers today, Mr. Bhal, who's economic advisor in the Ministry of Urban Development, and Mr. Bipul Pathak, J&K IT Secretary, to be very, very brief. It's, of course, a very, very important topic because as the cities are growing, there are problems of pollution, there are problems of traffic, there are problems of overcrowding, there are problems of garbage collection, there is problem of the municipal services, and so on and so forth. And as more and more population is coming to the cities, it becomes very, very important to be able to deliver those services, and how IT can be used and how we can improve the delivery of services through use of IT. It is going to be the subject, but I'll request the speakers to be very brief because we are already running behind schedule. And I'm sure that you would all be, because yesterday also we finished a little late. And so today we would like to finish on time because people have their flights to catch and they have other things to do. Maybe people would also like to go around the city. And so I'll request the speakers to be very brief and so that we can start the next session without too much of a delay. Thank you. Mr. Bhal, please.
Thank you, Sanjay. It's a pleasure to come here and talk to this learned audience. So I'll just flag certain issues, and maybe if anyone's interested, we can discuss it during the day also. So during the year 2008 was a very milestone year for the entire global world. Because during that year, some poor person in Asia or Africa sort of walked into a city and the whole world became urban for the first time. So as per the UN, the whole world became more than 50% urban only in the year 2008. And as some experts say, the 19th century was the century for empires, the 20th century was the century for countries, and the 21st century will be the century of cities. As India stands, we are about 31% urban, and 60% of our GDP comes from these urban centers. So cities are the engine of growth. The way it has happened in India, we are very emotionally attached to the term rural. Although in the Ministry of Urban Development, we would like to sort of do away with this rural-urban divide, but the way the politics, the dynamics is, these two find mention regularly. And Gandhiji said during independence, urbanization is evil. Even the Planning Commission till as late as 1970 and 80s would say this phenomenon of urbanization is an unhealthy thing. And so this kind of a mindset has put a bit of a dampener on urbanization, but now everyone realizes cities are the engine of growth. They are the ones where the dynamism comes. Cities are the great inclusive growth engines, and so we must encourage cities. And there's a huge challenge out there, the huge challenge of urbanization. We all know we've got almost crumbling infrastructure at times of our water supply or sewage and sanitation and urban transport and what have you. That's because we came in late onto this urban development escalator. So since we came in late, it's time we took in the best practices from all over the place, and we sort of collapsed this process. That's very urgent. And that is where IT comes in a big way. The whole world knows that IT is the great enabler which will help us develop inclusive and smart cities. There's a huge emphasis on using IT in the urban ministry under our various schemes, under JNNURM, under our urban transport. We try and incentivize the use of IT because we know IT is the best way to increase productivity and to make that entire process inclusive. Because only if you have good water supply, sanitation, and urban transport will the common man be able to access it. I'll give you a quick example of Gurgaon. Now, Gurgaon is almost a fairyland for people who have money. You've got huge high-rise buildings, you've got multiplexes and what have you. But a lot of people are now living in gated communities. They're dissociating themselves from the normal mainstream. So they have their own water supply, they've got their own security, they've got their own drainage. But what will the common man do? He cannot have access to that. So for the common man, it's very important that the municipality, the urban development departments get their act together, use their resources, use their capabilities, use their IT infrastructure to deliver services to the poor. Because if services are not delivered to the poor, it's the common man who will suffer. I mean, Sanjay and Mr. Pathak and me will have our friends and in the private sector and batchmates, we've got our money, we can push things and we'll manage. But it's the common man who will not have access to all these things. I'll give you another quick example, 24/7 water supply. A lot of criticism goes that it will increase the price of water and the poor man will not be able to pay it. But a lot of research shows that the poor man is already suffering to get that whatever half an hour of water supply, he has to pay much more to the mafia, to the water mafia, to the tankers. So all that is a big drain on his resources. So if we get our act together, if we use the IT services, if we use smart technology, and we deliver 24/7 services, the real cost to the poor man will be much less. And within the Ministry of Urban Development, we've got this JNNURM scheme, which is about a 1 lakh crore project, where we try to incentivize state governments in various ways to develop urban infrastructure, where one of the preconditions for getting loans is to use IT services to digitalize your information, have this right to services for the citizens. So a lot of states now have facilities. We've heard them from the Gujarat colleagues, from the Delhi colleagues, how there are certain norms now we put for say issue of a birth certificate, issue of a death certificate, and what have you. Under the National Urban Transport Policy, the Ministry of Urban Development is very keen to develop public transport and non-motorized transport. In Delhi, about 1,400 cars are sort of registered every day. And they account for only 15% of the total sort of car trips of the city. But these cars sort of pollute the atmosphere so much that Delhi is one of the really bad cities as far as pollution goes. So the Ministry of Urban Development, the Government of India is very keen on pushing public transport, be it the Delhi Metro for big cities or the bus rapid transit corridors for the smaller cities, so that a small handful of people with their big cars and all don't hold the entire city to ransom and don't end up choking the city. And we've got a sister ministry called HUPA, Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, which provides a lot of facilities to the common man. We are trying to give them property rights in slums and what have you. Again, there the use of IT is coming in a big way. So just to round off, IT is the great enabler, and the use of ITs in cities is a great enabler. It's a great tool for inclusive growth. And cities, by their structure and dynamism, are much more inclusive than the rural centers. It is a well-accepted fact that cities, the dynamics of a city, the way that things work, the structural components of a city makes it much more inclusive. So a man without any resources, without too much things, can pick up the skills, can pick up the sort of networks and progress much more in a city than in the rural areas. I think I'll stop at this point and we can discuss it later whenever you find it convenient. Thank you.
As Mr. Bhal just mentioned about the social inclusion part of urban development, that cities are much more inclusive by definition than the rural areas. I would take it from there that in our country we find that urban development catches up rather than it is planned. We find that many of the cities, even cities like Delhi, we do not plan for the basic amenities. Many of the areas, as an example, you will find if you go to a place called Vasant Kunj, there are 3 or 4 big malls. If you happen to come out of those malls at around 11 o'clock at night after seeing a movie, you find that there are around 200 trucks, water tankers kind of thing, lined up to fill up the water tanks of those malls. Similar thing happens that people have been paying like 30,000 rupees per annum to get water in colonies like Vasant Vihar, which is a very expensive place to live anyway. We have not been able to provide amenities even in our urban areas to rich people, forget about poor. Although, and since the planning catches up, it is not advanced planning, we find that our cities become such kind of a disjointed structure that you have slums on the outskirts of most of the cities. And now this phenomena used to happen 20 years ago around cities like Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta. But with rapid urbanization in the last 10 or 15 years, we find that this phenomena is happening around cities which are 1 million, places like Ludhiana, places like probably Jaipur as well. We are not able to manage these places, and these are the sources of not social inclusion, these are the sources of social exclusion. So many a times we find that these places have no amenity at all, although we claim that urbanization is the next thing happening in this country, and we are investing a lot of money under renewal missions, and the urban development departments are also getting a lot of resources transferred by the governments. Now, how does IT fit into this is anybody's game. I would say that telecom revolution did bring about social inclusion, at least the lowest strata of society, the working class, today is in a position to connect to the, in the same way as probably the rich people or people who are more well off. A telephone is a telephone. A telephone connection is same for you, me, and for a plumber as well. So that is one way in which urban areas have been able to include people in the network. And then comes the services part, the planning part. I would argue that most of the times the planning catches up for the simple reason that we do not have the urban development mapped permanently. We are not able to manage encroachments on the public land. And for that, I think the GIS systems should be used much more for urban planning. They are being used now in many of the planning departments of urban local bodies. Big urban local bodies are also doing that. And but what are the results? I'm not sure. We are at a stage which is still in the gray area. We have not crossed that gray area to go into a very clear use of these GIS mapping in the urban areas and using it in urban planning and then urban development. So I would argue that information technology in various forms can be a good enabler for advanced planning. Our piping networks have to be mapped, and so that we have a better water supply management systems. We have not been able to do it. Same goes for our other municipal services and municipal infrastructure, which has to be properly mapped, planned, kept on a maintenance mode which is automatic, rather than going for small things. You have to launch a grievance kind of mechanism, and then you get that service delivered to you. And so that is the fundamental argument I am trying to make. that information technology should be used as much as possible in the advanced planning, and then we will be in a position probably 10 years down the line to find that, okay, now we are not doing the catching up. We are able to give permission to a particular builder to build something, and we have already planned for the water supply and the other infrastructure services to that builder. Currently, you can see that builders get permissions and they have to source. And many a times in government, we find that the permissions are given that we do not have water supply, you manage your own water. They say, yes, we will manage. But you find them struggling a lot. Most of he mentioned about Gurgaon. Even Gurgaon is struggling. People are paying 18 rupees per unit for the backup electricity. The kind of investment, capital investment which we have done in urban areas, in inverters and such kind of generator sets, it is too much. There is a survey which and a research report which says that we have the common public investing in inverters and other things is costing the country 3 times more than setting up power plants, just to make a comparison. But common man is not ready to pay even higher rates of electricity, which would be very marginal to their pocket if they compare the cost which they incur for backup electricity in the form of inverters and backup generators and other kind of things. Now there it is all advanced planning. We need to use technology, we need to use information technology, we need to use other technologies available for better urban management, urban planning, and that is the only way forward. And hopefully we will be able to achieve some kind of planning model in urban areas where you find that the slums do not develop. And whatever has happened, you are able to clean it up and bring it at par. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bipul. Are there any questions? I think we can take some questions before Secretary IT arrives and we start our next session. Are there any questions? I think some very valid and some very, very pertinent suggestions have been given, some very innovative ideas have been given by Bipul over here, because there are a number of areas. There are a number of areas as cities are growing and as and demands are increasing on the municipal authorities and other government bodies involved in giving services to the people in the cities. The pressure on them is increasing. And IT applications in various areas. There is garbage collection. I know of Andhra Pradesh and Hyderabad where they are using IT for efficient garbage collection. So based on mobile technology with photographs and everything, to see as to the people who are supposed to be doing the job of garbage collection, are they really doing it? Because it is again, outsourced. So to keep a check on that, technology is being used. Another thing, which is again very important here, is that without, good governance, because all of this has to be also backed by good governance. Mr. Bhal, would you like to? Yeah.
See, we are all sort of wedded to the idea of smart cities. A smart city, by definition, is when you use information technology to improve the efficiencies in the cities. And in our search and all, we realize sometimes, Singapore is regarded as one of the smartest cities in the world, because they were the first to introduce manual congestion tax and finally the automated congestion tax, so that the inner city areas are not so congested. And then there was London during the Olympics. They developed the system of Travel Pal, where every day in the morning before people going to office look at their small mobile phones, and then the route at that time of the day, which is the most convenient, which station to catch their bus, which tube station to go, all is sort of spelt out. So there are, and that has been done by Siemens, one of our one of our sort of companies which are here. So smart cities is very much on the radar of the government, and there's always a constant struggle
to use information technology to improve efficiencies in the system. Thank you.
Prabhat wanted to say something.
Basically, to Mr. Bhal, we have started with e-municipality, and that's the first step which we have taken. And as you rightly pointed out, we need to use technology for managing the city functions better. Is there any plan to incorporate these functions, especially in your assistance which goes from Government of India to states in the 12th plan, so that these components for managing your water, wastewater, transportation, garbage collection, all that gets into this, and it is tied with, if you do some reform, then only you get the money. So do you have any such plans or not?
Prakash, as you're already aware, even in the JNNURM 1, the government was sort of incentivizing reforms, nudging reforms, that only once you do this stipulated list of reforms, which included sort of e-governance in certain municipal functions, only then funds would go out to you. And all that learning has been incorporated, and during the next phase of the JNNURM, people have realized that the capabilities at the municipal level and the state level are really weak, and capabilities includes capability of handling IT also. So that is a very integral part of the planning now, and there's no getting away. It's part of the woodwork. Any scheme, anything in the Government of India now, the IT has to be part of the setup, and it's going to be pushed in a big way. Thank you.
Just to give further comment on the initiative of Ministry of Urban Development. As such, we have got 23 reforms. This e-governance is one of the reforms. Under that, there are 8 modules. Every municipal council, municipal corporation is supposed to achieve this. Unless otherwise we see sufficient progress in this particular area, we do not release the further installment, so that we need to ensure that those reforms are achieved. In fact, the major cities, the mission cities, they have gone ahead in terms of putting the e-waste entire water control system, a SCADA system, in some of the municipal corporations. And for that, our ministry is sanctioning projects so that the water supply control and its flow and water leakage detection, everything is taken care of. So like that, our ministry is encouraging all the big cities to have such projects, and with that they can control the water supply in much bigger ways. So that way, Government of India is supporting even small municipal corporations. And the second thing is that in the phase 2 of JNNURM, the states, the municipal corporations, they are supposed to have achieved the e-governance module fully, as well as the further municipal cadre is also put in place, so that the project implementation becomes easy and faster. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya.
I think we'll wind up the session. It has been a short and interesting session. Some very useful comments and suggestions have come up as you know, the populations of the cities grow and pressures on the municipal and other big bodies increases. E-governance certainly has to be, put at the right place in the city administration. Thank you very much, Mr. Bhal and Mr. Pathak, for being with us and sharing your comments over here. Thank you.